What's going on, everybody? What is going on? It is Wednesday, October 18th, 2023, and we are back with another impromptu live stream here on the Torian Rain Reloaded channel. I'm glad everybody is here so far. Shout out to all of the people that's in the chat so far. Shout out to all of my patrons over on Patreon. If you are a patron on Patreon, y'all definitely got a very interesting video today. And also shout out to the Patreon again, because I have officially reached my 60th Patreon subscriber over there on Patreon. So shout out to y'all. 40 away from 100. I think that can definitely be achieved. Again, those are the videos over there that are very, very extreme for YouTube. These are stories that some of y'all send me and y'all want me to talk about, but I'm gonna be honest, they are too extreme even for YouTube, even if Lamestream Media does talk about it. Trust me when I say that. Shout out to all of the members here on the YouTube platform, as well as all of my subscribers and supporters. But before we get into today's video or stream, let's give a shout out to all the people that are here so far. We have Demarcus Vaughn, Q Yasharel. I said Q for sure because I could not pronounce your name and I didn't want to mess it up. Pretty Girl Loves Trap Content, Volvo to Love, Renee Dennis, Iron Will, Maggie, Val, Iron Will, Savion, Letitia, Gerald, Wendell, Carla, the Troublemint twins are officially in the building. The Hula Gang. Who else we got in here? Dewani, the Alacar 7944, Miss Renee, DSM Sinister, and Ricky McKinney so far in Black Spider as well. Continue to come on in, and we will get started momentarily. So y'all probably like wondering, why is Torian doing so many live streams consecutively and usually just does one live stream a week? Well, that is because this Friday, and I'm gonna post it up again on this Friday just in case people don't catch the memo if they're not here to catch it. I won't be going live this upcoming Friday on my channel because I will be unavailable that day. Let's just put it that way. That's all y'all need to know. I will be unavailable this upcoming Friday, which is why I will not be going live, but you will be getting the one video in place of that. And trust me when I tell you, the next 3 videos y'all get on my channel between tomorrow and Saturday are going to absolutely blow your mind. Trust me when I tell you that. Let's see, we got Foodophilia in here, B1 to you. I'm glad that as many people are in here so far. It says I have 99 people in here. Make sure y'all go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it. We have some things to discuss today as far as it pertains to Chicago. So shout out to well, 2 people in particular I really want to, well, actually 3. It's 3 people I want to shout out in particular. That's Harvey over at Your World, Afro Elite, and TD Hip Hop Media. The reason why is because the topic I'm gonna discuss today, they have already talked about at length, especially with the thing that all 3 of them have in common is that they are all from Chicago. Harvey and Afro both still currently live in Chicago, and TD, while he lives out on the West Coast now, he is a Chicago native. But they hit the hammer on the head every single time when it comes to talking about Chicago, especially when it's coming to what's going on now with the not so secret invasioners in that traitor Brandon Johnson, who I've talked about several times on my channel. He has been a bed bucking entry, and something tells me he's going to get a couple of more before it's all said and done. But yeah, I'm gonna be on here talking today about how, as the title reads, the weight of the not so secret invasion is going to tank Chicago. And it's really only 3 things I wanted to talk about. Like I have 2 articles, but both articles have a video attached to it, but there's also some text to go with it. And the other one is just a straight up news piece that got released about 2 days ago. And I'm going to go in order by date, because all of the stuff that I'm going to present to you today all came out in the last week. So I think one of them came out this week, and I think the other ones came out maybe early, like maybe over the weekend or late last week. So they're all very recent, and they're all talking about 3 different things, but they all go back to the same topic. SJMD said that the music sound like a jam from the late 70s, early 80s. It kind of gives me, when I hear that beat, it kind of gives me like a 90s vibe, like an early 90s vibe to me. B1 to you, Tamar Patterson. I almost said Peterson. All right, y'all, it is officially 6:10. We have 119 people in here. Make sure y'all go ahead and hit that like button. I will greatly appreciate that. So we're going to go ahead and share the screen. And we're going to start with this article right here. I'm going to actually play the video first. And it was posted October 12th, 2023. And the title reads, Johnson sets aside $150 million to care for migrants in 2024, less than half of the 2023 cost. So they already have a plan in motion of what they're going to do with the $150 million of the city's budget. Let's go ahead and see what they're talking about.
Mayor Brandon Johnson's proposed budget for 2024 sets aside $150 million to cover the cost of sheltering, feeding, and caring for the families sent to Chicago from the southern border. However, that is less than half of what the city expects to spend to care for Chicago.
And I sped the video up because of copyright purposes. So just in case people are wondering why she's talking fast, that is the reason as to why. Let me see if I can slow it down just a little bit. Oh, this is 1.25.
Newest arrivals through the end of this year.
Okay, this is better.
Chicago is a place strong enough to welcome and embrace newcomers while honoring our commitments to those who are already here, especially residents of communities that have long suffered from neglect and disinvestment.
WTTW News reporter Heather Sharon joins us now with the latest on the escalating crisis. Now, Heather, I want to start off, give us an update on the state of the migrant crisis.
In the past week, Chicago has gotten 63 buses from the southern border carrying more than 3,600 people.
Did y'all hear that? Let me rewind that back. Let me rewind that back.
3 buses from the southern.
Hold on, y'all.
Update on the state of the migrant crisis.
In the past week, Chicago has gotten 63 buses from the southern border carrying more than 3,600 people.
She said in the past week, there have been 63 buses to come into Chicago with over 36 or roughly around 3,600 people on those buses in total. Now look at that number. 63 buses was carrying a total of roughly around more than 3,600 people. And that was just in the course of a week. Think if you do that every single week for a whole month. You're almost knocking on 10,000 people a month. Almost. You're getting close.
That has exploded the number of men, women, and children forced to wait in police stations and at O'Hare Airport for a space in one of the city's shelters.
Now look at this breakdown with this number here. 18,000 arrivals in Chicago, 3,064 are at police stations, 711 are at the airport, and 10,852 are in shelters. When you break it down, this is how many have arrived in Chicago so far, 18,000. Honestly, I'm gonna be honest with you. I think it's more than that. I truly believe that it is more than that. It's higher than that.
In all, more than 3,700 people are in police stations and at the airport, while nearly another 11,000 people are in city shelters.
That number just keeps increasing. Now, Johnson asked the city council to embark in $150 million to care for the migrants next year. That won't be enough money, will it, Heather?
No, it won't. Even by the mayor's own projection, the city is going to need at least $200 million.
Now, that's 50 more million than what the article suggests in the title. 150 million is different than 200 million. They're saying that 150 million is nowhere near enough of the money they will need
to care for the migrants. And even that is significantly less than the $363 million the city expects to spend through the end of December.
They just literally throwing money at them. So first it was 150 million. They said that's not enough. Then they said 200 million. Now that's apparently not enough. Now they said 363 million. That's 163 million more than 200. Now you see why I titled this video the way that I did. They are going to tank Chicago's economy.
to care for the migrants. Now, I asked First Deputy Chief of Staff Cristina Pacion-Zayas why the city did not ask, why the mayor's office, I should say, didn't ask the city council for the full amount. And she said it was purposeful to put the governor's office on notice and the federal government on notice that the cost of caring for these people sent.
Y'all see the imagery of how they're living outside of those police departments? Like, it literally looks like another Skid Row.
Chicago should not fall solely on the shoulders of Chicago taxpayers, and that the city desperately needs more help.
Well, here's the thought: just send them back. But like I say, the Democrats and the Republicans are both playing the same game, because the Republicans can easily send them back when they try to get in. Because remember, they're coming through that southern border. Who runs Texas? Who's the governor? Governor Wills Abbott. Where else are they coming through? In Florida. Who's the governor of Florida? Ron DeSnowflake. Instead of turning them around and making them make a U-turn back to where they came from, they send them in a pipeline up to so-called blue states to be spiteful. And then once they get to those blue states, you have people like Brandon Johnson and Eric Adams in New York who wants to welcome them with open arms, but now it's becoming overwhelming. I'm telling you, they are playing the craziest game of ping pong I have ever seen. Or no, not ping pong, hot potato that I've ever seen.
And at this point, what are the chances that the state will send additional money to the city to care for hundreds and thousands of asylum seekers?
It is unclear.
And that's another thing. I'm tired of them calling them asylum seekers, because that's not the title I personally would give them.
At best, both Governor J.B. Pritzker and House Speaker Emanuel Chris Welch told reporters this week that they do not plan to move a supplemental budget measure through the fall veto session, which is coming up in just a few days. Instead, Cristina Pacion-Zayas told me that she thinks there are other ways for the state to provide Chicago with additional aid, perhaps by sweeping up money unspent but appropriated for other purposes.
What? Let me run that back. Did y'all hear that? Because I want to make sure that I didn't misconstrue what she just said right there.
Veto session, which is coming up in just a few days. Instead, Cristina Pacion-Zayas told me that she thinks there are other ways for the state to provide Chicago with additional aid, perhaps by sweeping up money unspent but appropriated for other purposes.
So let me get this right, and y'all can correct me in the chat if I'm wrong. Are they saying they want to take money that hasn't been spent on other resources that were set aside for other resources to use for this, just because it wasn't touched yet? Y'all just want to take that money? Have ever heard of putting away for a rainy day? This isn't exactly a rainy day. It sounds to me like they're trying to take money from other places that it's supposed to be used for to put it towards them. I just want to make sure that I'm not reading too much into it, and that that's what's being said here.
And last question here, what's the status of the mayor's plan to open these massive tents?
Well, that plan was announced more than a month ago now, but the mayor's office has yet to identify where those winterized base camps would go. We asked Cristina Pacion-Zayas what the holdup was. She said to expect an announcement imminently.
Now look at this, y'all. Look at this. Let me rewind this some. Look at this. It looks like a compound. This looks like a compound. It looks like something else, but I'm gonna just call it a compound right now.
We asked Cristina Pacion-Zayas what the whole.
And this is a rundown of what they're literally building for them. So we got restroom, showers, a pump trailer, dry storage, refrigeration, restroom, showers, offices, and this is isolated patients. So it's a camp. When I tell you the red carpet has been rolled out, I mean just that.
She said to expect an announcement imminently as the mayor's office is working to finalize answers to those questions.
Well, thank you so much, Heather Cerrone.
All right, y'all. So that's that video right there. I feel like the video did all the explaining for me that it needed to. There's really no need for me to go and explain the rest of it because the video put it in summary for us. Now I want to move on to this article. Now, this article right here is actually what prompted me to do this stream. I received this article before the one with the video y'all just heard and before the one you're going to hear after this. And this is the only place I saw this headline. Like when I tried to look it up in other articles, I couldn't find it anywhere else. So this is coming from cwbchicago.com, and it was posted October 13, 2023, the day after the news piece y'all just heard. Now look at this title. Migrant got arrested on his first day in Chicago. And that's him right there. His name is Angel Alberto Tara Gick or Gick. He wasn't there a whole 24 hours before getting arrested. What did I tell y'all? Many of them are coming over here and they are bringing their bad habits with them. The new criminal class is invading. A Venezuelan migrant, and why am I not surprised this is another person from Venezuela, living at the near North 18th District Police Station, managed to get arrested on his first day in Chicago, according to a CPD report documenting the incident. The report said a sergeant was driving in the 1200 block of North Burling, about a half block from the near North Side Station, around noon on October 3rd, when he saw Angel Alberto Tara Gick, age 20, standing in the middle of the street and refusing to move. Noting, the area has seen an increase of narcotics and solicitation, the sergeant got out of his car to see what Angel was up to. The report continued. Angel clenched an unknown blue object in his hand and ran, causing drivers to swerve and stop to avoid hitting him, but was quickly apprehended, according to the report. It said Angel told officers he arrived in the city yesterday from El Paso. Cops never found the blue object he allegedly clenched in his hand, but they did charge him with reckless conduct. And guess what, y'all? When this article was posted, I thought this was going to be the only story attached to it. But shocked to my surprise, when I scrolled down, there's another story here out of Chicago involving a shelter riot. So remember, they're trying to build all these shelters or put them in these shelters and all of this stuff, but they don't have room, or they're running out of room, or stuff is happening there. I'm gonna read this first part and I'm gonna play the video because there's a video that goes along with this. Chicago cops responded to the Gage Park migrant shelter on the evening of October 5th to handle a crowd of people rioting and surrounding the staff, said a CPD arrest report from Maria Nunez, age 28. Staff members told the cops that everyone was fighting because the staff told someone they had to move to a different shelter. What happened next? Let's go to the video. So let's go ahead and play this. Hold on, y'all. Let me enlarge this right quick. Hold on, y'all. Watch this. All right. So y'all just saw that. That was the fight or the riot that occurred at one of these shelters because allegedly, the story goes, staff members told the cops that everyone was fighting because the staff told someone they had to move to a different shelter, and that's what it spiraled into. And like I said, these are not one-off videos. There's several more between what's going on in Chicago and what's going on in New York. Good point, Zavon Scott. It says no pepper spray, no tasers, no control. And what's going on, Afro? I actually just brought you up when I was about to when I was talking about this. Is it somewhere in all of that? Police say Nunes pushed a cop and hit the officer in the chin. Nunes hid behind the other individuals in the crowd to avoid being arrested, and the crowd itself began to push and use their bodies to prevent police from arresting Nunes, the report said. The cops eventually took her into custody. She's charged with felony resisting and felony aggravated battery of a police officer. Judge Ankur Srivastava released her to await trial. And if you thought that was interesting, there's another story. Yes, there's a third story in this one article. This time it's talking about someone who was committing fraud using an ID. Jesus Marvel Segura, a 21-year-old Venezuelan who currently lives at the Wentworth 2nd District Police Station, but previously lived at the Stanford Club Migrant Shelter in the Loop, got caught jumping the turnstile at the Grand Red Line Station, police say. Officers arrested Segura because he had an outstanding warrant for failing to appear in court for a pending matter. And shout out to Black Voltron Reloaded for the Cash App. I appreciate it. Those charges were filed on September 22nd after Rosemont police arrested Segura at the fashion outlets of Chicago for allegedly stealing merchandise worth $415 from the Tommy Hilfiger store. When police arrested him, he possessed a fraudulent U.S. permanent resident card and a fraudulent Social Security card, according to prosecutors, who charged him with felony possession of fraudulent identification and misdemeanor retail theft. Judge Mary Marubio released him the next day, but he failed to show up for his first court date 3 days later, and a judge put out a warrant. He was released again yesterday. Shout out to Insane Optimist for the 1999 super chat. He says, great coverage. Thank you. I appreciate you for tuning in. So we have one person who got arrested after being there for a day. We got a fight / riot that broke out at a shelter because they were told they would have to move. And we got this one out here committing fraud. And all of this happened within the same week of each other. Just at 3 different locations in the same city, in the same state. You're right, Miss Renee. They're given a tap on the wrist, but we're not surprised by that. I know I'm not. Now, there's one more thing I have to show y'all, and that is what was posted today. Well, not today, 2 days ago. I'm sorry. On NBC Chicago. It says Chicago migrants. Chicago has been charged $7.2 million to staff migrant shelters during a 4-week period.
Tonight, NBC5 Investigates has uncovered more records showing just how costly the migrant crisis is.
Like I said, this is the part when we're really getting into the money. So all the people that's up in Chicago right now, this pertains to you. If you are a tax-paying citizen in Chicago, this pertains to you.
We obtained account for just a fraction of the more than $60 million that's gone. With more.
Evrod GF obtained 4-week invoices for employees working at the city's migrant shelter. Money has flowed. Invoices show staffing the migrant shelters cost Chicago taxpayers more than $7.2 million during a 4-week period this spring.
That's just 4 weeks. Exactly, Yahweh is gracious. 1 month. This is how much money it has cost the taxpayers in 1 month from April to May of this year. So imagine how much money it has accumulated since then. We are in October now. We are beyond the halfway point of October. Before you know it, we only got 1 full week left in October before we start to head into November. So imagine if it was $7.2 million from April to May. What do you think it was from April to now? I'm sorry, from May to now.
So where did that money go? As we previously reported, 7 days in April.
They making nurses take pay cuts. While everything goes up, their pay goes down.
All told, in the 4 weeks we examined, favorite charge more than service. It was this way. Inflated to cover administrative costs like hotel rooms for out-of-town employees, which is part of the reason the administration now wants to hire local.
We've also renegotiated the emergency multiple times. And so we're confident as we project out that we
resident, guess who's going to get the jobs? Remember, didn't Biden say a couple weeks back that they were going to be able to hold temporary legal status, which by that meaning you can't call them illegal?
If you're going to spend that much tax dollars from the Chicagoan, it should go to Chicagoans. And so getting to the point where that becomes this like system of recycling those funds and helping them.
I know why I did that. It's because I realize whenever you play something coming from like NBC or ABC sometimes on YouTube, even if you speed it up, it'll kind of glitch after a while. But I hope y'all were able to hear that with what was said. Y'all should have been able to hear it even if the video glitched. Because I know it did it yesterday. No, was it yesterday? Yeah, yesterday. That's why I like to try to play news clips off of YouTube if I can, rather than on YouTube itself. But hopefully y'all were able to hear what was being said. But yeah, so now for the people who live in the city of Chicago, now you see where your taxpayer dollars are going to. And God forbid they make them be residents of the city, because we know who's going to get those jobs. Now, one more thing I wanted to say before I actually ended it, because it was actually, and I'm mad that I unbookmarked the video in my bookmark tab on X. There was a bookmark that I made about maybe a month ago, and I wish I held on to it because that would have been perfect for this, where it was actually raw footage. It was a black woman. She was walking around with her phone and she was recording a certain part of Chicago where they just kind of dumped the not so secret invasioners off somewhere. Haxon said, why does it glitch? It's because of the outlet that I'm playing it from. If I play like a news clip from like ABC or any type of ABC or NBC affiliate, it'll glitch. Even when I'm playing it in speeding it up. At least on YouTube it does. That's why on the other video y'all were able to see it all the way through, because one, it wasn't on YouTube, and two, it's not I don't think it's affiliated with the two entities that I just mentioned. But what I was just saying was there was a video, there was this black woman that posted that she went to a certain part of Chicago. She was recording it on her phone, and she was seeing where there was a lot of not so secret invasioners basically just dumped in this area, and she was going around asking them questions. Now, there was a language barrier there because they didn't speak English. So they had their phones, they had like a translator app on there, and the woman was asking him like a simple question, like, why are you here? And she spoke it into their phone, which was translated, and it translated into Spanish. And they spoke back into it, and they replied back to her, and they responded back to her in English, and they said they were looking for work. And it's crazy because all of them pretty much said the same thing. Now, I want y'all to keep this in mind. They say that they are sending men, women, and children over here, aka whole families. But when I saw that video that woman was recording, I only saw grown men. I didn't see not one child. I didn't see not one woman. So they'll tell you that they're sending families over here, when in actuality, a lot of them are just sending a lot of single grown, able-bodied men over here. And shout out to Rob Blacklight Revelations 2, because he does a very good segment on his channel called The Undocumented Bros, and he talks about this a lot. So if y'all ever get a chance, go over to his channel when he's talking about the Undocumented Bros. And what I'm saying right now, he's saying it over there. And as a matter of fact, he actually goes into way more detail than I do. For me, I'm just scratching the surface. He goes into the rabbit hole. So I just want y'all to pay attention and look around when y'all see that. Like, even in the clip that I just showed y'all didn't see that many women and children. It was a lot of grown men, just the men that they were sending over here. So that's just something that I want y'all to be mindful of and paying attention to. But like I said, there's a new criminal class coming. And quite honestly, that new criminal class is already here. As y'all know, I've been talking about it for the last almost month now. Between Chicago, especially New York. I even threw the Romanians a bone out there in California. Shout out to Corey Green for the $10 super chat. He's a tithe to the ministry. I definitely appreciate that. And this has to be talked about heavily, because, you know, you'll still have the usual suspects out here thinking that it's black people that's doing this, that, and the third, especially when it comes to the city of Chicago. Because whenever they talk about Chicago, they love to relegate it back to black people. But they never talk about this. I just gave y'all 3 videos. And in one of them, it showed 3 criminal elements from that group all within the same week, between someone acting erratically in public, people fighting and rioting in a shelter, and someone committing fraud, ID fraud. And like I said in another video that I did, it's only going to get worse before it gets better. But with that being said, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and end the stream right here. Shout out to everybody who came through. Shout out to everyone who donated to the chat. Insane Optimist and Corey Green, as well as Black Voltron Reloaded. He hit the Cash App. I appreciate that. Shout out to all of my patrons over there on Patreon. Y'all are actually going to be getting another video, I think, this weekend. I have it set to publish on one of them days. I can't remember which day it is. Shout out to all of my members here on YouTube. And shout out to all of my subscribers and supporters overall. And like I said at the beginning, I'm going to say it here. There will not be a live stream this Friday because I will be unavailable this Friday. So y'all will be getting a video tomorrow, a video Friday, and so on and so forth. Just no live stream. And shout out to Blacklight Revelations 2, aka Rob, for being a member of the channel for 8 months. He says, join the I Feel Nothing crew. Most definitely join that crew for sure. With that being said, I'm about to get up off of here. Y'all enjoy the rest of your Wednesday, and I will be talking to you all in the next one. Be safe and be one.